Hello. Our team will be presenting on the book by David Cottrell, Monday Morning Leadership. This book is about a manager named Jeff and his mentor Tony, who meet every morning for 8 Mondays to discuss and provide tactics for Jeff's personal development as a manager. Jeff is like most of us and is faced with some traditional barriers that we see throughout our career journey. Our team consisted of Guillermo Marquez, Bonita Manger, Jessica Lee, Daniel McNeil, and Veronica Marino. Throughout this presentation, you will hear about how Tony mentored Jeff to accept accountability, attempt leadership best practices, and overall become a better person. We hope you enjoy our presentation. The first Monday, drivers and passengers. The first Monday that Jeff arrives to Tony's home, it is off to a bumpy start due to the fact that Jeff was late because of the weather. This ultimately intertwines with something that leaders must deal with on a daily basis, and that is to hold yourself accountable. Jeff was quick to make excuses about his tardiness, but Tony's response was that he must take accountability regardless of the weather, because once Jeff realized it was raining, he had the opportunity to make an alternative decision to address it. A leader takes accountability and drives their team to success. As leaders, we are challenged with rain often, and it is something that we must always remember to be conscious of and own to not only build confidence with your team, but also with yourself.
The second Monday of Monday Morning Leadership begins with the lesson of the importance of an organizational leader working to identify what the primary purpose or priority is for that organization or team within the organization. David Cottrell dubs this chapter, Keeping the Main Thing the Main Thing. Each manager must strive to define this for themselves and for the organization. Communication will be key if the manager is to be successful in this endeavor. Open and consistent communication allow managers to meet the needs of their subordinates. As Tony states, people quit people before they quit companies. In Jeff's third Monday morning meeting, he and Tony discussed the manager's operating environment. This chapter is a discussion on how the actions of the manager affect the organization and ultimately the employees of the organization. The chapter is entitled Getting Out of Management Land. The main point of getting out of management land as a manager is that you must work to stay in touch with your people. Jeff's mentor Tony has developed professional opinion through years of management experience that most organizations have 30% superstars, 50% middle stars, and 20% falling stars. Two key points are made from this professional opinion. One, depending too heavily on your superstars can lead them to becoming middle stars because of an overwhelming workload. Two, if the manager accepts the performance of the 20% falling stars, it can easily become the minimal acceptable standard. Accepting this lower performance can be perceived by the middle and top performance as a reward, as the lower performer is doing less for the same compensation and decent performance reviews. This can eventually lead to a drop in performance from your middle and top performers.
On the fourth Monday morning meeting, Jeff had a major issue to talk to Tony about, and he arrived early for the meeting. Jeff tells Tony about one of his superstars that has broken the rules. Jeff is debating whether to fire the superstar or ignore the situation. Tony states that an employee can be a superstar in one area, but a falling star in another area. He then asks Jeff if it was a falling star in the same situation, what action would you take? Tony goes on to say that everything counts when it comes to your leadership. You are always leading even when you are ignoring. Jeff realizes that it's important to do what is right even when no one is watching. On the fifth Monday morning meeting, Tony was waiting at the door when Jeff arrived to hear how his week went. Tony was excited to go over the hiring process with Jeff. According to Tony, the greatest asset is having the right person on your team, and the greatest liability is having the wrong person on your team. It is much easier to hire tough and manage easy than to hire easy and manage tough. When searching for the right candidate for an open position, Tony practices the 3 rules of 3. Interview at least 3 qualified candidates for every position. Interview a candidate 3 times before offering them a position. Have 3 people involved in the hiring process to help evaluate each candidate. The hiring process should take time to ensure that the right candidate is chosen so that they become an asset, not a liability.
On the 6th Monday, Jeff was very eager to get to his meeting with Tony to go over his current momentum regarding the hiring process he's involved in. Though he was happy with his personal progress, Jeff still continued to have weakness in his time management skills while putting most of his time and energy towards the extensive hiring process. As Tony states, there's a myth out there no one seems to recognize, and it's this: no one can save time. We all have the same amount, and we can't carry any time over to the next day. After being reluctant at first, Jeff did come around to realize that he experiences interruptions every day, but is also guilty of interrupting other team members as well. As leaders, we need to be aware of even 5 minutes of wasted time and turn it into productivity. During the 7th Monday, Jeff continues to work to fill the final open positions. Tony goes over the importance of taking care of his current team and continuously motivating them. Almost everyone has highs and lows of their job, so continuous motivation and recognition helps keep the lows or dippers out of the bucket. As managers, this is very important for keeping each individual motivated, but also the success of the whole team. Though each individual may have different motivational tasks that work for them, the better a leader motivates each individual, the better it will be for the team and facility.
On the 8th week, Tony recommends that Jeff focus on the goals he set for himself. Tony also advises him to move out of his comfort zone and into the learning zone. In the learning zone, there are 3 rooms. The first room is the reading room. For Jeff to be his best self, it was suggested that he read a half a chapter a day or 10 minutes. Doing this would help Jeff read up to 12 books a year and increase knowledge in leadership and management. The second room is the listening room. Tony shares the importance of listening and why some executives fail because of arrogance and out-of-control egos. These attributes cause them to forget to listen to their people. He later suggests that Jeff listen to a motivational or inspirational audio to become a better listener. The third room is the giving room. Tony strongly felt that no one, including Jeff, would succeed without giving back. A person's legacy is what is left to others. It is also very important for people to set specific goals if they want to change. Tony later shares 4 main reasons he believes people fail to set goals. Number 1, not writing down a goal on paper. Number 2, not knowing how to set goals. Number 3, being afraid to set goals. Number 4, not wanting to leave their comfort zone. Tony's last rule of advice was to stay positive. People are attracted to positivity and want to follow others who are balanced in all areas. In conclusion, Jeff and his mentor Tony met every morning for 8 Mondays to discuss and provide tactics for Jeff's personal development as a manager. During these 8 weeks, Jeff was educated on how to become more accountable, understand the primary purpose of his organization, learn his operating environment, make sure to always do what's right even when no one is watching, improve hiring processes and time management, recognize staff, and to never forget to focus on the goals he set for himself. Now that their sessions have concluded, Jeff can fulfill his promise and teach others what he has learned from Tony.